So, looking to start a board game, huh? Well, it can be pretty tough to figure out where to even start. Choose a mechanic that you can create some sort of prototype for, and then just see it work. And then you just keep doing that with different aspects of your game, and eventually you can put it all together, and then you'll have a full prototype that you can test with. And it'll be after verifying each individual mechanic, so it'll be a lot more likely to be successful. So the value in prototyping is immediately figuring out whether an idea is worth pursuing or not. And it may be tough to hear because, we all hold our ideas very precious, but at the end of the day, you got to make sure it'll actually work. And keep in mind, in the future, you may be able to utilize some of these ideas in another game. Because my game, for example, I had a ton of stuff that I have totally removed or substantially altered since I started. And there's some ideas that I was really excited about, but what I really tried to do was think of what is my core vision for the game. I really tried to pare that down as much as possible. Like, if I removed all extra aspects, what would remain? And after doing that, I was able to build on top of the core vision, and I feel like my game is heading a lot more in the right direction. Still a lot of work to do, but I'm feeling really good about it. And I think prototyping was a big part of what helped me realize that things just aren't going to work. And it's an important step to really start to see that this thing that's in your head can become a reality. So don't shy away from it. It is intimidating. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding as well. What I ended up doing was creating Google Sheets for my individual card decks, and then found software where I could import the Google Sheets and make cards. This was much more effective than individually cutting and hand drawing cards that frankly did not look good anyways. The software that allowed me to do that was Nandeck. It's actually free software. It allows you to import your Google Sheets and create all the cards for you on the fly. So every time you make adjustments in your Google Sheets, you just reload your deck and boom, all your changes are there. It is substantially more efficient than just redoing them by hand every time. But for starting out, this was really helpful for me. It was really helpful. And I'll give you an overview on how to use Nandeck. If this is helping you guys out, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know what techniques you've been using for prototyping. Because I'm still learning and I'm curious if I could be doing anything to improve.
First of all, this is just a Google spreadsheet that I created just to kind of give you an idea of what a simple creature deck could look like. Something important to note here when using Nandeck, which is what I'll be showing you in a second, is you'll want your first row here to be a heading row. Change who can share the link and make sure that you set it to anyone with the link can share it. That way Nandeck can properly access it. Then you copy it, which I've already done. You paste the link, which will look like this. You remove everything besides the token. Make sure you remove everything besides the token. And then if you right click on here, if it builds, then you know you successfully have connected Nandeck to your spreadsheet. This is what the end result is going to look like. Now, let's show you how to get there. So we're going to go ahead and take all of this and just delete it. Validate deck. Now we have nothing. Okay, so now we pop into the visual editor here. And first thing we want to do is set up our font. So we add a font. I like to update these so they have easy to keep track of names. So for example, this will be our name font. So that's what I'm going to call it. And then to actually get into the properties here, you just right click. And there's a lot of stuff you can do in here. For the most part, I'm going to leave it the same, but just for fun, you can swap up the font type here. And other than that, I'm just going to leave this alone. Now, here's where the magic happens. So we come into here and add a text object. Okay, and the order of these matters a lot. So this font applies to any text objects below it until another text object shows up. And also the order establishes what items are on top and what items are underneath. So keep that in mind for now. It'll come more into play later. So I'm gonna, it's a little hard to see, so let's go ahead and zoom out a little. And then I'm going to change the name of this to name, since that's what we're working with. And we don't really want this to take up the entirety of the card, so we'll just slide this on up here. Well, that looks about right. And now, if you right click on this, you'll see this text property here. This is where you have the ability to double click, come to here, say name, and look at that, werewolf. Brings it right in for you. And there is a ton of stuff you can do with the layout of this. But for now, we're just gonna leave it as is. And let's go ahead and add an image property next. And actually the name image is fine. And then this we want to be just underneath our title. Something like that looks pretty good. Okay, let me right click on that, double click in here, grab image, and look at that. My beautiful artwork appears. Okay, now we want our description to show up, which is just another text property. Bring it down to just underneath here. And we want to leave a little room in the bottom. So take this to like right here. That looks perfect. Semi-perfect. And then this is going to be our description. Oop, not that one. And then right click on description, double click in here, grab the description field. Now this isn't really right. So we need to actually do some layout to make this actually show up the way we want it to. So we're going to want this to align left. And then we're going to want this to word wrap. And you notice the size of this isn't really working. So this is where, you know, maybe our title font is a little too big for our description. So we can just come over here, add another font, and to make it actually apply, we got to move it above the description. Let's double click. This is going to be our description font. Right click. Font 32, that's way too big. So we're going to drop this to, let's try 14. That looks about right. Perfect. Okay, and then for our attack and damage, actually I named them damage and health, or damage and health. We're going to want those to be kind of separated. Little dash in between them. So a simple way to do that is to just come here, add a text property. This will be our separator. probably spelled that wrong. And then we're going to come into here and actually just change this to a slash. And where we really want this is directly in the middle here. And then something important to grab here, oop, that is not what I was trying to do, is our Y positioning. So I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to come here, add another text. This one will be our damage. I'll go ahead and drag this on down here. And then right click, grab the Y positioning, paste, confirm. Oh, maybe one other thing we want to do here. So we'll go ahead and grab our damage property. And this needs to right align. Perfect. And I actually want to get this lined up with the bottom. Did I do that with this? I did. Okay. Well, that's close enough. So we have our damage, and then we can come here, add another text, double click. This will be our health. Drag this one on down here. Right click, paste. And then this we want to be our health. We want this left aligned. Here we go. This is the property that we need to match here. And it seems like they're off just a little bit, so we'll just perfect. That looks pretty good. And keep in mind, you can spend a lot more time with this to get the details really in there. So I think we actually want to update our description font to have the same thing, which I believe was Courier. Yeah, that looks right. And you'll see that that applies to everything below it. All right, that looks pretty good. So now we hit confirm. And what's cool about this is we actually just laid out our whole deck. Oh, look, we have a little bit of a issue here with the border, which by the way comes from this. So that is adjustable. It's just not done within the visual editor. So keep that in mind. You can update that. So I'm going to come back here like, all right, so this is a little off. So we don't want this to be right up onto the edge. So we'll just slide it over a little bit, and we want to avoid the same thing from here. Something like that. That looks great. Confirm. Come here. And by the way, deck.
Well, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. So now get out there and prototype some shit.